Is it better to have wisdom or knowledge? Can you have one without the other? And which one comes first? Wisdom and knowledge. They have quite a bit in common, and in some cases they are even used interchangeably. But there are important differences between the two. The primary difference between the two words is that wisdom involves a healthy dose of perspective in the ability to make sound judgments about a subject, while knowledge is simply knowing. Anyone can become knowledgeable about a subject by reading, researching, and memorizing facts. It is wisdom, however, that requires more understanding and the ability to determine which facts are relevant in certain situations. Wisdom takes knowledge and applies it with discernment based on experience, evaluation, and lessons learned. A famous quote sums up the difference well. Knowledge is knowing what to say. Wisdom is knowing when to say it. Knowledge is the accumulation of facts and data that you have learned about or experienced. It's being aware of something and having information. Knowledge is really about facts and ideas that we acquire through study, research, investigation, observation, or experience. Wisdom is the ability to discern and judge which aspects of that knowledge are true, right, lasting, and applicable to your life. It is the ability to apply that knowledge to the greater scheme of life. Philosophers, writers, and artists of all kinds have weighed in on the meaning of wisdom since ancient times. Yet no one has ever come up with a single irrefutable description of what wisdom truly is. Sadly, we can gain a lifetime of knowledge, yet never see the wisdom in it. So, which comes first, knowledge or wisdom? There is no chicken and egg scenario here. Knowledge always comes first. Wisdom is built upon knowledge. That means you can be both wise and knowledgeable. But you cannot be wise without being knowledgeable. And just because you are knowledgeable does not mean you are also wise. While knowledge is a tool, wisdom is the experience to wield the tool. You must have heard the saying, knowledge is power. It really is not. It is nothing more than potential. Applied knowledge, now that's power, and that is actually wisdom. As for how long it takes to achieve wisdom and how you know when you have achieved it, that's where things get murkier. Albert Einstein famously said, wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it. So it's one of those journey, not the destination things. Most people have a strong opinion on the difference between knowledge and wisdom. There's an old saying that goes, I wouldn't want to rely on an educated idiot. The saying expresses a common view that education does not create wise, practical minds. In fact, most people think of wisdom as something you cannot learn in school. It's most often associated with age, as if living more years ensures you learn some greater lessons from life. Those who choose to access wisdom find it. But throughout history, they have always been a small and a select population. Time may contribute to a larger collective pool of potential knowledge, but this is not wisdom. Access to this information may give people the appearance of being better informed, but it does not make them wiser. Knowledge relates to facts that you have learned. Wisdom is the ability to put that knowledge to good use. Here's a fundamental difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge comes from out there, while wisdom comes from within. You can spend your life holed up in the ivory tower of a respected university, reciting the same old lecture till kingdom come, but that does not make you wise. Knowledge is acquired. Wisdom is uncovered. The things that you truly know, not facts or statistics or even things that can be expressed through language, are already in you, waiting to be uncovered by your attention. Spiritual experience is the process of recognizing this innate wisdom. Compassion comes when we recognize that others have this wisdom and can access it if they wish. Sitting and reflecting often requires humility and calmness. When we stand back and give ourselves some respect and some space, wisdom emerges. It comes in the quiet periods after thoughts begin to fade away. Knowledge comes to and from the cranial brain, the one in your head. It is simply info, data. Wisdom comes from your heart brain. It is felt. Yes, knowledge felt while applied becomes wisdom. The energy of knowledge, when used and combined with the power of emotion, you are moved into action and you transform that energy into wisdom. Now you actually felt it. Big difference. Curiosity is often an aid to knowledge and to testing wisdom. Wisdom may guide us to test facts that have been provided to us, purporting to be facts. Does research support the idea that these supposed facts are something that we know? The fact that we know them causes them to be knowledge? Alternatively, if we have the wisdom to fact check, we may discover the fact that some sources do not provide knowledge, but try to make us believe that falsehood is knowledge. True wisdom teaches us to double-check everything that comes to us as appearing to be knowledge. It also teaches us to use existing knowledge in order to be more accepting of some apparent sources of knowledge than others. The wisdom to know the difference between fact and fiction is one of the most important forms of awareness that there is. Wise people pay attention to their surroundings. They're curious. They notice things. Wisdom is about understanding things not just on a cognitive level, but also from an emotional or experiential capacity. A knowledgeable person, when asked about what love is, they provide you with the definition of the term or information about what happens in the mind or in the body when someone experiences love. A wise person could speak to the direct, felt experience of what it means to love. Wise person who experienced love has lived it, was touched by it, and learned from it. We gather information from experience, observation, research. Wisdom is about knowing which facts are relevant to you or to someone else and why. Wisdom is an enduring level of insight about when to use that knowledge, pacing yourself until the optimal time to share or use that knowledge is, or about when to refrain from using it altogether. The irony is that we are about to leave the information age where knowledge has exploded and enter a new stage. Not only do we seem to know more than ever, with the advent of the internet, we can also know more than ever. Yet, I'm not sure if we ever truly have fallen in love with this process of how to feel the knowledge. How important is it to apply it and to fail? How important is the process of trial and error? Instead, we have fallen in love with simply collecting knowledge and also just sharing it without ever truly applying it. As you look around, you tell me, are we any wiser? Dear God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.